Ladies and gentlemen, from the theater at Madison Square Garden, live on DAZN, it's now time for the co-featured bout of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the IBF Lightweight World Title Eliminator. Now, entering the arena, please welcome the Japanese lightweight champion, Hironori Mishiro. Now entering the arena, please welcome the undefeated Andy El Diamante Cruz. Ladies and gentlemen, from the theater at Madison Square Garden, live on DAZN, it's now time for the chief support of the evening. And it's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing in association with Take-In Promotions. We're sponsored by Bet Online, Drip, El Mexicano, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Riyadh Season, Renaissance, Victory Live, and Everlast. This bout is sanctioned under the auspices of the New York State Athletic Commission. The executive director is Matt Delaglio, and the International Boxing Federation. The president and supervisor, Mr. Errol J. Peoples. Introducing your three judges scoring this world title eliminator from ringside: Ken Ezzo, Robert Perez, and Robin Taylor. And at the sound of the bell, your third man in the ring, referee Eric Daly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the IBF World Lightweight Eliminator. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he wears the black trunks. He's scaled 134.6 pounds. Professional record, 17 victories, 1 defeat, 1 draw, with 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Matsue, Japan, here is the reigning Japanese lightweight champion, Hironori Mishiro. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black with diamond trim. He's scaled at the lightweight limit of 135 pounds, bang on. Professional record, thus far perfect. 5 fights, 5 victories, 2 of his 5 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 2020 Olympic gold medalist and the reigning and undefeated IBF International lightweight champion, presentando el orgullo de Alacranes, Matanzas, Cuba, Andy El Diamante Cruz.
Let's go, baby.
Bring it in, guys.
Okay, gentlemen, you already know the rules. Let me remind you to keep it clean, protect yourself at all times, obey my commands at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck to both of you.
Well, Andy Cruz mourned the recent retirement of Vasily Lomachenko, who, like him, was a prodigious amateur, but like him, he is following in that same path, headed towards a world title shot, potentially in 7 fights tonight. Just a couple of fights ago, 2 years ago, said he lost all of his confidence in his boxing, but a new team and a new gym has him on the cusp of a dream opportunity as well. Round 1, scheduled for 12.
And this is either going to be an awesome performance from Mishiro or an awful one. I don't think there's going to be an in-between.
Mishiro is a tall fighter. Nice little snappy jab that he has. Kind of awkward, quirky upper body. Really stiff, though. There's going to be a lot of opening for Cruz to actually hit the chest and the torso area of such a stiff fighter like Mishiro.
And he is an aggressive, come-forward fighter. I think the problem, though, is that he's not a high-volume puncher. So he's going to come forward, but he's not going to let his hands go probably as often as he needs to against the fighter with the accuracy of Andy Cruz.
The right hand of Cruz landing already. One up top, one there to the body.
See, that's what I mean by Mishiro being stiff. He got hit with a jab right there. He didn't even react. So his upper body's really stiff and robotic. It's going to be easy for a guy like Cruz with his background, with his speed, with his straight punches to really land on Mishiro easily.
Mishiro started his career at the Watanabe Gym, which is most famous for producing Takashi Uchiyama, who is one of the best champions Japan has ever produced. He was kind of molded in that model, but as I mentioned, felt that his boxing was crumbling, in his words. Lost his confidence after a shocking loss in Korea, and now is training at the Yokohama Hikari Boxing Gym.
That jab's going to be the main weapon for Cruz. I can already see it. You know, because Mishiro's so robotic, you know, he doesn't really move his head much. That jab's going to be the key here to land a big right hand. There you
see some reddening on the nose of Mishiro, courtesy of that jab, as Cruz comes to the inside on the back of a nice right hand.
Yeah, Cruz can't miss with that jab early on. I think as this fight progresses, you're going to see him follow up with that straight right hand.
Or lead right hands. You know, it could be jabs, lead right hands, but right now you just want to soften up Mishiro. These Japanese fighters, you know, they could take a punch. They're really tough. They come forward, so you got to soften them up right now.
Yeah, to that point, Sergio, Cruz he can be a very unorthodox puncher. He'll come at you with that 2-1 sort of out of nowhere.
Yeah, the 2-1 is a punch that a lot of these gold medalists and successful amateurs throw, because they face a lot of southpaws, and that 2-1 is actually the opposite of a 1-2 when you're standing from the orthodox stance.
Inside the final 30 seconds. And further to that point, you know, one of the core tenets of the Cuban boxing school is to always finish with that lead hand to keep yourself safe, to pivot out. We see that from Cruz, mixing things up, pitching backwards as he gets out of range here.
Good right hand there a moment ago from Mishiro.
Yeah, that's a sneaky right hand that I was talking about. He has a quirky upper body movement, but he has a sneaky right hand. He turns into a right hook as well. You can't sleep on a guy like Mishiro.
Wydobądź jeszcze więcej z każdego ziarenka. Najlepszy smak i idealna pianka zamknięte w wyjątkowym designie. Nowa Primadonna Aromatic od DeLonghi. Perfetto. Pełnia smaku kawy w najlepszym stylu.
Myśl odważnie, działaj rozważnie. Szczególnie jeśli chodzi o samochody używane. Wybierz swój u ponad 35 sprawdzonych dealerów z gwarancją do 24 miesięcy i pełną certyfikacją. Spoticar. Samochody używane, odkryte na nowo.
Andy Cruz and Hironori Mishiro here in our co-feature. IBF title eliminator. Good opening round for Andy Cruz. One good right hand from Mishiro right before the bell. Guys, we saw Cruz in the corner, of course, with Bozienis, and for my money, this is one of the most interesting kind of fusions of boxing ideologies, and Andy Cruz has talked about combining what he learned back home in Cuba now with the Philly style of fighting that he's learning now.
Yeah, Andy Cruz very easily could have gone to a trainer in Southern California, could have gone to a trainer over in Europe, but he wanted to learn this pro style. He wanted to become a power puncher. So he goes up to Philadelphia and starts training with Bozienis, and that's been the emphasis at the majority of his camps, getting him out of that amateur style and getting him sitting down on his punches. Only 2 knockouts in his 5 fights, but he has landed some good shots on every one of his opponents very early in his career.
I love that jab, man. I mean, just the jab alone is going to win this fight for Andy Cruz. I love the fact that he's alternating from upstairs and downstairs. When you're dealing with a tall, lean fighter that doesn't really move his upper body, you can stab him in the gut. That sets up overhand shots. And you can see that the jab is already busting up the mouth and bloodying the mouth of Mishiro.
That little uppercut on the inside won't help matters in that respect either. According to CompuBox, to this point in his career, Cruz has outlanded his opponents 897 to 244. Basically, he's outlanding opponents. We're playing with decimal points here, but it's basically 4-1.
Yeah, his accuracy is really impressive. And even though his defensive numbers are excellent as well, he's not someone that is going to run around the ring. Like, to make a comparison, he is not a guy like William School. He's not going to use the entirety of the ring to try to avoid getting hit. He'll stand in the pocket and avoid shots with his defense, his footwork, and his reflexes.
Turning southpaw there is Cruz giving Mishiro a different look. Yeah, you're going to have to be patient with a guy like Mishiro, you know. Tough fighter, never been knocked out. You know, he's one of these cagey fighters that can take a good punch, keep coming forward. So you got to break these guys down, you know, outclass them with jabs. Just simple jabs like that, just busting them up.
Good body work setting this up for Cruz. Now he's putting them together on the inside. Swelling already developing on the right side of the face of Hironori Mishiro.
And you can see the two schools of training, you know, of Andy Cruz. From the outside, that jab is that Cuban style, you know, the range, keeping the discipline, you know, popping him with that jab, clean punches. On the inside, that Philly style, you know, with the body shots, looking for that uppercut, digging down, combination punching.
Against Hironori Mishiro. As round 4 is now underway.
And there's those quick jabs of Mishiro. Those are pesky jabs. And once he starts throwing that right hand, he gets respect from opponents. That's what I want to see right now, putting Andy Cruz on the back foot.
To correct myself, obviously, this is round 3, but Hironori Mishiro, you know, we're talking about potential adjustments for him. He was talking to the Japanese press earlier this week, and he said, listen, there are people asking me, hey, am I worried about getting the win on the scorecards if I'm fighting overseas? Should I be more aggressive? And he said, listen, I'm not a knockout puncher. If I try and stray from what I do, it's just going to put me in more danger.
Mishiro doesn't like those body shots. I think, look, stabbing him downstairs like that, right in the breadbasket. Those get to you, man. And you can see Mishiro doesn't like him backing up and actually, you know, wilting every time that Andy Cruz trying to go downstairs. You can see him covering up those ribs.
Mishiro, deep breath there after a cascade of right hands from Andy Cruz.
I love the punch selects from Andy Cruz. You just don't know where he's going to go with these shots. He's just as likely to go downstairs with a stabbing body shot and come over the top with that right hand. Very disciplined, very technically sound fighter.
There's a sneaky right hook, right hand by Mishiro.
You know, Mishiro said he wasn't going to get over anxious or too aggressive here, but I think he's noticing if he doesn't pick up the volume a little bit, this fight is going to get away from him or he's going to start getting hurt. Big right hand again there from Cruz, and down goes Mishiro, and indeed, he is hurt.
What a shot. That landed cleanly. Right of the jaw. First I thought he rolled with it, but it was a clean shot. You can see the legs buckled, the knees gave out. Mishiro's hurt.
Andy Cruz just cannot miss right now. Cruz all over Mishiro, hunting for the knockout here in the third.
And this is where the stiff upper body of Mishiro is going to come and bite him. He needs to duck these shots. He can't just block them.
Mishiro just trying to turn away from that right hand, and Cruz is just lining him up for that shot as he does twice more. It's uppercuts, it's straight rights, everything coming at Mishiro right now.
Oof.
Nice right hand from Mishiro.
Cruz just missed with a big right hand that would have ended this.
Mishiro just getting there first with a right hand, but you're right, Sergio. That was a fight ender, but there may be some to come here.
Sergio, Mishiro's just kind of dipping down to his right and leaving that head exposed.
No upper body movement. That's what I talked about, being robotic.
Down goes Mishiro again before the bell.
When you travel well, your ticket can take you to more than just your destination. It can take you to new shared memories. When you travel, travel well.
Ile ja bym dał, żeby być teraz w maku? Kozyn coś wspominał, że są nowe makrojale. Bacon barbecue? Czy ten cheesy jalapeno bacon? Gdyby to było tak łatwe jak szachy.
Mishiro up and smiling.
And target for Andy Cruz to tee off on.
Because he has no upper body movement. He's really stiff.
4 underway. And Hironori Mishiro will need to make some serious adjustments, or else this one could be over in short order. You just cannot take that many straight right hands. I mean, Sergio, it looked like Cruz was almost surprised at how easy and how available that shot was.
Well, because it's landing so easily, and you can see that Cruz is turning into a right hook now. If he can start throwing that right hook to the body, that's going to actually open up the overhand shot for Cruz. So touching him downstairs with that right hand, and then you can land up top.
Take a look at these CompuBox numbers. We talked about the plus-minus historically for Andy Cruz. And that percentage is just going to increase with this fight. Outlanding Mishiro 40-5 in terms of power shots. And those numbers are climbing already. Another right hand over the top there from Andy Cruz.
Every time Andy Cruz lands a clean right hand, it seems to freeze Mishiro. Where he drops down, just exposes that head, and gives Andy Cruz open opportunities.
And even getting peppered like he is, Mishiro coming forward, digging down to the body of Cruz. I mean, this is the thing about these Japanese fighters, man. They got heart to spare. They could take a shot. They could keep coming. Very resilient.
Nice left hook to the body there from Cruz. Comes right behind it. The jab up top. Big right hand again there from Cruz.
Yeah, that right hand can't miss.
Nothing can miss right now. The referee taking a close look here. Mishiro incredibly brave, but just does not have an answer for Andy Cruz when he starts putting the shots together.
An overhand right from Cruz should end this, but he needs to bend his feet because Mishiro's a sucker for that right hand. Go back to the jab if you're Cruz. There you go, popping him like that, keeping him at the end.
Final 30 seconds here of round 4. Just waiting for the next explosion here from Andy Cruz.
Nice upper body movement there by Cruz. Nice and relaxed in the pocket, everything missing by Mishiro. And there's that 2-1 I was talking about earlier. That switches it up on opponents. Whenever you're landing a 1-2 so easily, switch it up on them with a lead 2 and the power jab.
Andy Cruz having a tremendous time in there right now. You see the joy on his face. And we're maybe looking at a future world champion in the very near future here in Andy Cruz, as the doctors are going to take a look at Hironori Mishiro. Applause for Mishiro. Will be able to continue. And the problem, Sergio, isn't whether Mishiro can react to the eye test there from the optometrist. It's whether he can react to these right hands from Andy Cruz.
Andy Cruz is just way too sharp with those punches. And look, he just needs to go back to what's been working. Popping him with that jab, softening him up, and then lining up those right hands. Whenever you're dealing with a fighter that doesn't move his upper body, doesn't have quick instinct to roll with shots with his chin, you're always going to land cleanly. So those shots right there, those are power jabs, Corey. Those are shots that hurt you going backwards, and they're just going to set up. This fight's not going to last much longer.
Beautiful uppercuts on the inside there from Cruz a moment ago.
If Cruz just puts together combinations just like that, with hooks coming around the guard, they'll stop this fight. Punches are landing way too cleanly.
Well, Chris, I want to ask you about your scorecard, but I suspect we're not going to hear the official scorecards here tonight. Andy Cruz with an absolute paint job right now. Hironori Mishiro needs saving from himself, and that is it. One final Cuban missile of a right hand from Andy Cruz.